Hello, I'm back. I have been honestly quite ill, so I haven't been able to do YouTube for quite some time. It's also the reason why I didn't end up posting quite a few of my Doctor Who videos for the last season of Doctor Who. I just did not have the energy to edit whatsoever, and I still struggle with it a bit. But I'm going to try to do this now that I'm a little bit closer to being back to my normal. So, what we are doing today is the first video in, hopefully, fingers crossed, a series where I check in, I'm gonna say every quarter. I would like to do every month, but I'm gonna try not to push myself too hard. If I feel like I'll be able to do it come early August, I will. But either way, next video, we're aiming for October for the first check-in. If I'm able to do it in August, I will. But this is just me basically saying that I'm doing it and then going through some of the prompts, basically. But yeah, as you can see on screen right now, I'm attempting HRCYED 3.0. I did try to do round 2. However, since round 2 started, I have completed all of, I think, 8 books altogether because I've been so ill. I was able to do it for like the first month and then I just kind of gave up because I realized that I was quite ill. But yeah, this year I'm going to try to complete at least some of these challenges. I'm definitely not going to be able to do all of them because I think the number needed, even if you're doubling up for every challenge, is at least 75 bucks. So yeah, that's not going to happen because generally, even in a good year, when I'm having a generally good time, I don't have bad mental health or physical health, generally I only read around 50 to 60. So 75 is not really achievable. And also, so far this year, I've only read 1 book, so I think completing the challenge is probably a little bit ambitious. These challenges seem very fun, but yeah, I'm gonna be very casual about it and just not try too hard and not burn myself out. So generally, the rules are you can double up for every prompt, you can't double up within a prompt, and you can reread if it's been more than 5 years since you've read the book. So I have a lot of options. I haven't really written them down in the form yet, but I also have another personal rule because I have kind of like a semi-ban on book buying. Some rules for book buying that I have, so I'd like to continue to adhere to those while completing this challenge, which means that I'm going to, the best of my ability, get books from the library, or read from my shelves, or read from my parents' shelves, or if I do have to buy to complete a challenge, I will save that challenge for later. But if I'm going to buy, I have to adhere to my low buy rules, which is that to buy a book that I haven't read before, I have to read 2 off of my physical TBR. So that's the general rules. There's a couple of different versions this year. Let's see. But I'm going for the basic one. I was thinking about going for the Nobody Got Time for That version, but I think the basic one is a bit more exciting. The gamified one is a little bit too much for me, especially the self-published authors, considering that I am doing the buy as little as possible edition with the additional rules that I have. So I think that everything else would have been fine, but so, let us go through the challenges. First, we have, let me get my note ready. Choose your party. This is read books that you can somehow tie to a D&D class, and there should be, different classes here, and then you base the book on that. It can be anything. So I have a couple of things, but I think that this is definitely a prompt that I will just be doubling up with more difficult prompts. Next is periodic table, and has to have elements in the title. That is to say, elements on the periodic table. Probably things like iron and silver and gold are going to be more common, and then there's a lot of other things. That one is definitely more difficult because you can only have one of each element, but you have to have at least 5. And then we have familiar terms, which is familial terms in the title. I think that's going to be a little difficult with what I already have on my shelves, but I'll find something. Then we have Choose Your Curriculum, which is basically 5 books that would relate to a subject in school. And it has to be 5 different subjects, and it has to be like a real subject in a real class in, say, like elementary to high school. Yeah, that also seems fun, but it's definitely one of the more difficult tropes. I'm probably going to try to use nonfiction for this, because I have quite a bit of nonfiction books I haven't read. And then we have regional traipsing, and it's about regions on Earth that you have to choose that where the book is set. This one I think is going to be probably not too difficult. If I'm having trouble, I'll borrow something from my parents' shelf, because I have a lot of books from a lot of different places. And then we have US states that are not New York, California. I'm probably going to choose this one. She did say that it could be your country, but I'm just going to go with the US, because I think that most of the books that I have on my shelf are set in the US, so it's going to be a little easier and still adhere to my personal challenge of sticking to my bookshelf. This is a book within a book, or bookception, and basically you read one book and then you read a book that appears within that book. This one seems a little difficult, and you'll have to discover it as you read. You can't really pre-plan it. Then we have the secret prompts are back. This is one I'm really happy about, because since I was so ill last year, I couldn't do these because they were set for like 1 month at a time. But now, since they're not like any time limits on it, I can just fill it in whatever I want. And then we have cover styles, which is 4 different covers with 4 different styles. This one is probably one thing that I'll just fill out as I go. And then we have titular counting. Now there's 2 number title things, so I need to check which one this is. Titular counting. This is how many words there are in the title. This one I think is going to be fairly easy. I think that probably the like 6 to 10 words are going to be a bit more difficult. And I do think that like a and the and an and all those things count. So it'll be difficult, but it'll also be something, maybe with the exception of the last 4, that I just complete as I go. And then we have characters become authors. So basically, you read a book that is not part of the challenge, and the first name of the main character of that book becomes the first name of the author of the book that you read for the challenge. This one doesn't have to be a chain, so that will probably make things a little bit easier, but it'll probably be one of the harder challenges to complete. Next one is also going to be rather hard to complete. So the first book that you read is also not part of the books for the challenge. So you read a book, and then the word that title ends on, the next book's title has to start with that. Generally, you technically have to read 6 books for this. I think this one's going to be also rather difficult. It also sounds very fun, and I'm going to try my best to actually get it. This is the HRCYED mashup. You take 1 challenge from round 1 and 1 challenge from round 2, and then you mash them up. I chose the Rainbow Challenge from HRCYED 1 and By the Hundreds from HRCYED 2. Rainbow Challenge has 10 colours, and By the Hundreds has 7 books, so I haven't quite decided yet if I'm gonna do like only 7 of the Rainbow Challenge, or if I'm gonna double up on some of the hundreds. But I think this is a challenge where I don't really feel like I can double up with other things. I don't know, it feels like, because it's already a double challenge, you know? Then we have the other number challenge, Titular Digits, where you have to have a number in the title. So you have to find up to 1 through 10 and then one that's 11 or higher. That one's also probably going to be quite difficult. I think that 1, maybe 2, and 3 are going to be fine, but everything else is going to be a little difficult. And then we have rainbow titles, which is either you choose to have the color in the title, or the title has to be that color for the entire challenge. I think I'm probably going to go with color in the title. I think that's probably the one that's more fun for me. I know that the color of title is to make the challenge a little easier, but I'm gonna go for the more fun one. And then we have animal families. This is basically you have to read books that feature an animal from one animal family prominently. I am definitively going to be using one of the Narnia books for this. Otherwise, I'll just go as I go. And then next we have biomes or landscape, and this is just like different kinds of landscape, either in the story or on the cover. So that one will probably be not too difficult. I think it has to be landscapes that would exist in the real world though, even if it is a fantasy book. So remix. This is just like a remix of another story. So it can be like a retelling or like a gender bent retelling, that kind of thing. So yeah, this one sounds fun. I don't know. I have had a very difficult time with retellings as of late, so I don't know how it's going to go. But you know, I could find some great books. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And then we have Food Pyramid. Food Pyramid is different kinds of food on the cover, and you can only do beverage once. That one will also be rather easy. I can think of one right now, the Heartbreak Bakery, because that's one that I have on my TBR that I'm going to try to read for sweets and desserts. Weather. This is weather on the cover. Significant weather. It can't just be clear skies. It has to be like sunny. The sun has to be on the cover. Can't just be like implied sunny. And then we have It's Your Birthday. This is based around my birthday and stuff. And you pick a book that is somehow related. It can be the cover, it can be the title, or in the story, whatever you want. So there's birthstone, birth month, zodiac, Chinese zodiac, flower and tree, which I did not know was a thing, and then the meaning of your name. This one's fine, I guess. I think this is going to be, especially the flower and tree part, is going to be very difficult. We have backlist author. This is the one that I actually have ideas for. So, books from authors that you've been wanting to read more of, or authors that you're behind on, if they're authors that you read frequently. I have a couple of these. I'm either going to do some of the Percy Jackson books that I still haven't been able to read, or I'm going to be doing some from Adiba Jaigadar, which I have 2 on my shelf that I haven't read yet. Either that, or I'm going to be reading Celeste Ng's 3rd book, which I have still not read. But yeah, those are the ones that I have on my shelves where I've read from the author before. Acquire these creatures. This is based around Pokemon types. I don't know anything about Pokemon, so I'll just like base it off like the word. I think that'll be fine. And then we have an anthology of authors. This is probably going to be the most difficult for me. I did find an anthology from my library, and I do have 2 of those authors on my shelves already, and I think I can get most of the other 4 from the library. And there's also like more than 4, so I do have some options. Hopefully, I enjoy these other 4 enough that I don't DNF, so that I can actually track it for the challenge. But yeah, that's my initial plan, because I don't really have any anthologies on my shelves right now that I think it would be like not entirely impossible to find their books without buying them. Second chances and hidden gems. This is basically just second chances or things that aren't read very much. So either DNFs or like soft DNFs, or an author that I disliked previously but I'm willing to give it another chance, or things I don't usually read, like genres I don't usually read, or a book that has less than 100 reviews on Goodreads. I'm probably going to be going more for the soft DNF option. I'm gonna put in my potential titles Game of Thrones, and then Priory of the Orange Tree. Yeah, because those two are two books that I have attempted to read in the past, but it just wasn't the right time, or I spent too long on it. Game of Thrones, in particular, was a book that I stopped reading because I realized that I couldn't read it because the English was too difficult. So I've tried to read that 2 times. I've tried to read Priory of the Orange Tree 2 times. It wasn't the right timing. So I'm going to try to read it again, but those are the ones that I have on this list, and I'll probably think of more as I go. But yeah, those are all of the prompts and all of my current plans. And maybe we'll see each other again in August, and fingers crossed we'll see each other again in October. We're aiming for October. I'm gonna try my absolute best to at least complete some of this by October. But yeah, I still have some books that I haven't finished that I need to try to finish at least before July 7th so that I can start fresh. Challenge starts July 7th officially. I'm going to start then too, and hopefully I'll actually be able to stick to it through the entire year. And yeah, I will see you next time, which is hopefully October. Goodbye. And if you're participating as well, have fun, or share in the comments. And like and subscribe, because I was supposed to say that too. I always forget to say that at the end of my videos. But yeah, goodbye.